We the lazy declare that we will recline when we feel inclined. And yes, we feel inclined.
We answered our kids' questions all day. It's our time to prioritize, no priorities.
Why?
Because
We put in back-to-back doubles. So now we'll be putting in extra OT right here.
We've checked off our to-do list.
Now we're checking off our to-don't list.
we the lazy are taking back lazy.
By getting comfy on our Lazy Boy furniture.
Lazy Boy. Long live the lazy.
Waiting to see if we get another warning from the Weather Service. How you doing, guys? If you're watching on Denis Phillips Live, we are also on air right now, streaming. We have a tornado warning for Highlands County. And honestly, it seems like there's a pretty significant tornadic signature. You see it right there in the middle of your screen here. I am going to keep the weather services up here. Still no update. So again, at this point, the first tornado warning is set to expire in a minute and a half. Right here, the red one, okay? And we've been tracking this one, and this also did appear to be a tornado. Whether it's actually on the ground or not, a little tricky, but you know, when you're looking at this, when we click to reflectivity, I want you to kind of look right here. Look at where the red and the green are, and if we go back, see that? That's rotation. You can see what I'm looking at. Here, let me kind of help you out on this. Right there's the rotation, right in the middle. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of that and watch. Watch as we move it. See how it's moving northeast? And now it appears to be weakening because you see less red than you did. You still see some green, you still see rotation, but it's seriously much less rotation than it was before, right? Can you see that? Look how bright it is right there. See the red and the green right there? And right there? And then the red is almost gone. However, look at this one. So, I don't know. This, to me, absolutely looks like a tornado. I don't think there's any question about it, truthfully. It's just a matter of whether or not the Weather Service feels that it's extending down to the ground. It's also a pretty rural part of Highlands County as well. That's good, but it is getting closer, and you can see the area right here, Hickory Branch. I mean, I'm gonna go and see if they do. Yep, they did let the tornado warning expire, the one up on the top. So it had expired. You see that red? It's no longer there. And have not yet issued one for the south. So we'll just have to see. But, I mean, yeah, that is pretty well defined right there. So, at the very least, regardless of whether or not, look, whether or not we're talking about a tornado or whether we're talking about straight line winds, which this is rotation, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, whether you're talking straight line winds or not, you're still talking about 60 to 70 mile an hour winds in this general area. So let's like get away from the inside baseball stuff and how we label it and talk about how it impacts people, okay? So there's plenty of lightning around with it as well. You see that? This is coming up on 27 and 70. So if you live in Highlands County, you can see, I mean, there it is, right? It's to the west of Hickory Branch Road. Quite a bit of lightning with it as well. And this is the squall line, obviously, the southern edge of the squall line. And we were talking about this earlier, that, you know, you look at the way that the squall line was headed, and a lot of times our southern counties don't get the full impacts of a squall line, obviously. Usually it's farther north, but the tornado watch included the entire Bay Area, and with good reason. Because if you were watching on DPL last night and we were talking about other stuff, we're like, look, you're going to get 20, 25 minutes of squally weather in the leading edge of this squall line, possibility of an isolated tornado, 40 to 50, 60 mile an hour winds, and then behind it, you got nothing. And that's exactly what's happening. But because there's such energy here, even these southern counties are picking up. I'm just really surprised that this is not being warned on. But again, it doesn't matter, right? It does not matter, because let's go down to the neighborhoods, and because either way, whatever you're getting some wind and lightning out of this. So there's 27, there's 70. You're south of Lake Placid right there, okay? And this continues to move northeast. All right, it is a very rural part down there, but you're right on the fringe of Lake Placid. Okay? So even if this is not rotation, there is wind here. All right? So regardless, the impacts, whether or not there's rotation or whether it's straight line, 60 or 70 mile an hour winds are 60 or 70 mile an hour winds. It doesn't matter in what shape they form. It's still wind. So if you live anywhere west of 27, you can see here, there's some of the streets. And if it were to continue to the northeast, it's going to take a track similar, a little farther south of the last go around. It would take a track probably about like that, right along the squall line. So southeast of Sylvan Shores, southeast of Lake Placid, and you can still see a pretty vigorous amount of lightning coming up with this as well. The rest of the Bay Area, nothing to worry about. We've been talking about coastal flooding. Obviously, that is an issue. And you look around any place else, there were some tornado warnings on the East Coast in the last hour. I mean, you can argue there's also a little something trying to brew even down on the southern edge of this, down way south of us. So at this point in time, there's where that wind, regardless of whether or not we want to call it rotation or not, there's where that wind is going, coming up on the intersection of 70 and 27. And there are some of the streets going along with it. All right? Not going to lie, I'm kind of floored that we're not getting a warning on this. And actually, at this point, I'm not even sure it's a severe thunderstorm warning anymore. So I'm not seeing it. All right. There's a severe thunderstorm warning. The Melbourne office has picked up. See, this is what a little inside baseball here. So the Melbourne office, the Melbourne Weather Service office, picks up the responsibility of warnings right there. So the warning that you have seeing here on the East Coast has been issued by the Melbourne Weather Service office. Anything on the west side is issued by the Ruskin office. So sometimes you will see a storm not warned on in Highlands County, and it bumps over to Melbourne, and they do a warning. Because let's be honest, I mean, it depends on who is a meteorologist working the radar. I mean, there's a subjective element to it sometimes. I mean, weather is tricky with this sort of thing, and whether you're gonna warn on something. So it is certainly possible that that we're not looking at a warning. But I'll tell you what. So if you're watching us on air, we're going to go ahead and end our coverage on air, okay? Because the warning has expired. If we get another warning, we'll break in. And I'm going to continue our coverage on Denis Phillips Live on Facebook. So if you need to follow up and continue to see what's going on with this, you can follow us on our streaming app or on our Facebook page, all right? So we're going to go ahead and end the broadcast stream, and we're going to continue our Facebook stream. How's that sound? All right, good enough. So thanks for watching. All right, we're going to continue on Facebook right now. And let's make sure that we are still, oh, we just got a, don't even. We just got a beep for a warning. Let's see, what was it? See if it was that one. No, it wasn't. All right, that's good. At least it isn't yet. Not that I'm seeing it. But I heard the beep, and usually the beep is indicative, well, it's always indicative of a warning. I just don't know if it's a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning. Let me go back and check it at velocity again. Jeez. I mean, come on. Okay. All right. Okay. Anyway. All right. Let's go back over. Now, so studio, can you in the control room, can you route camera 1 in studio now? Thank you. Good. And we are good to go. Okay. There we go. All right. So who do we have here? Let us see. You know, a lot of times when you get this kind of a system, you know, it really is. It's very, very difficult to determine whether or not you're actually seeing enough rotation to deem qualified for a tornado warning or whether you're seeing straight line winds. And again, at what level is the threat? Are you talking about rotation several thousand feet up? Are you talking about rotation closer to the surface? The Weather Service, the folks at the Weather Service in Ruskin, best Mets I've ever worked with. I've been here a long time. Worked in a lot of weather offices from Los Angeles to Taunton in Boston to Patuxent River in DC. I mean, a lot of meteorologists. And honestly, I still think from over the years, 30 years of working with the Mets at the National Weather Service, you know, they're the best. They really, really are. So I would always defer to their ability and the technology that they have in determining whether or not we get a warning or not, regardless of what I may or may not see. But again, at this point in time, regardless of whether we actually have a warned tornado or not, you still got some wind going across south central and southern sections of Highlands County. So, I mean, regardless of the setup. So if you're watching on Facebook, I think a lot of folks have been asking about the water, about the coastal flooding issues. So pretty much this is how it played out yesterday. We had that 20 to 25 minute of rough weather, right? Then back behind it, everything stabilized. The winds come around. At high tide, you would expect to see water. Let's go ahead and take our graphics full, all right? And that way we can actually give you a complete update about what's happening. And we're going to go ahead and start. Well, yeah, we're going to start with the radar as we have been, okay? There's a live look at what's happening right now. You've still got some rain going on, very stable though, no worries about severe weather across Pinellas. Some scattered showers elsewhere. Boy, we talked about this 5 months ago, didn't we? I mean, when we were talking about El Nino, we're like, man, it is gonna be that kind of a winter. And sure enough, every 3 or 4 days, we've been seeing it. Let's look at velocity again. It's still, I don't know. I mean, it's still there. It's definitely there. All right, so let's keep going. So we go back where the warning extends up toward Melbourne and then over toward Titusville, just some rain. The squall line itself, remember, the squall line is where the severe weather is, and that squall line extends from here to here, all the way down there. If you live west of the squall line, no severe weather. You live east of the squall line, there still could be some severe weather. Let's play a game. Where's the cold front? Well, earlier on, it was a lot easier to tell because the front, it was nearly 80 degrees in our southern counties and in the 50s in our northern counties. So you kind of know where the front is based on those temperatures right now. Still some rain going on across the area. There will be for a few more hours. And there is still a tornado watch in effect for Highlands County until 9 o'clock. You still have the potential for some additional severe weather. And again, look at where those warnings pick up, right? When that Melbourne office is picking up, they're like, yep, we're gonna go severe. Highlands was severe, but that is now crossed over in to areas to the east with the exception of extreme southern Highlands where that area of potential rotation was going on. Futurecast, tomorrow everything is all good. Things are back to normal. We're chilly, we're sunny. We're a little breezy, nice day, no rain. Thursday, well, we do it all over again. Thursday, we get a warm front, move from south to north, as our warm fronts historically do, right? So you will see an area of rain moving from south to north. See it lifting north? See that? Lifting north. And when that happens, warm fronts are stable air masses, so you don't get any kind of rough weather with it. You just see a few scattered showers. And it'll continue to lift north, but it puts us back in a warm sector, right? And once you're in the warm sector, what can happen? Okay, so Chris says that Tampa Airport ground stop extended to 8:30. I don't have that firsthand. That's just from Chris on here. Could ask our desk. Hey, you guys know if there's a Tampa Airport ground stop? Don't know. I didn't have time to change, Denise. You were correct. I was on TV the entire time, so I could not change. So yeah, let's talk about the coastal flooding. All right? Well, where's the map? Here's the rain potential. Rains again on Friday. All right? Let us find that map. Where is that map? I had it on one of my shows. My shows are just scattered all over this because of how we've been on air today. Wait a minute. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to talk about the coastal flooding issue, all right? Still a coastal flood warning in effect. Look at the times of high tide, okay? Now, the tides that we're coming up on this evening are high tides 2.5 to 3 feet. Brittany says ground stop at MIA until 8:30, sitting on the tarmac. So I don't know if she means MIA or TPA. Chris is in Miami. Got it. So ground stop in Miami until 8:30, not in Tampa. I was going to say, it didn't seem likely it would be Tampa because we're really not getting any rain at the airport in Tampa. So Sharon is saying water is high on Apollo Beach. Okay. Jalen, according to what I'm seeing now, there are no tornado warnings in effect. Weather Service never warned on the one in Ruskin, the one in Highlands County, as far as I can tell. So you don't have to worry about it. However, there is still a tornado watch in effect, and there, I believe, are still some severe thunderstorm warnings, according to our graphic on here, although I'm not seeing that. Planes are taking off again at TPA. Thank you, Adam. He said he just watched one. You're very welcome, Dorothy. I appreciate it. So yes, here's a look, and the skyway is open, says Adam. So here's a look at the coastal flood issues. Now, once the squall line has moved through, which it has, the winds change over to the northwest. All right? Northwest flow is one that we would likely expect to see some water pile up a little bit. Not so much in the inner bay. I want you to think about this, okay? So if the winds are coming in out of the northwest, it's going to be hard for that water to get around on the west side of the bay. It's so dependent on the direction the wind is blowing when the water is rising. So you would expect areas along the Gulf with the wind blowing out of the northwest coming up on high tide for there to be some water rise. As we said the last couple of days, don't think it's going to be what it was, even close to what it was a month ago, but it's still water rise. It's still the potential for flooding. And I think a lot of folks, if you live in an area where you typically, first of all, if you live in an area that you flooded last month, that does not necessarily mean you're going to flood this time, because last month the water is higher. And I would say ballpark, the water will be about 18 inches to 24 inches lower than it was last month. But considering there was some pretty significant water, I mean, I think the water went up to around 5 feet last month. We're looking at 3.5 to 4 this time. So with the high tide already in play and a west-northwest flow coming in, I would anticipate coastal flooding in some areas, which is why the Weather Service has issued a coastal flood warning. Let me check and see if that is still in effect, because honestly, I have not been looking at the warnings at all today. I've been too busy since 3 o'clock on tracking tornado warnings. So the latest advisory, coastal flood warning remains in effect until 7 a.m. Wednesday. All right, here you go. Significant coastal flooding expected. Coastal Levy, Citrus, Hernando, and Pasco counties. So according to what I'm looking at here, they are no longer including Pinellas southward in this warning. Now, that's what I'm seeing right now. It's hard for me, and this just came out like 10 minutes ago. So according to what we're seeing here, Pinellas is no longer in the coastal flood warning. All right? That is significant. That is breaking news. Breaking news. Coastal flood warning no longer in effect. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change this graphic right now. So let's go ahead and take out the 2 to 3 feet. This one. And let's just get rid of that one. Delete. And let's move the coastal flood up to here and move this to here. And let's say save. And there we go. And I will even put on the graphics. See, this is how we make our graphics here. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll just post this on Facebook. I'll post this on Facebook right now. All right, you guys can kind of see how it go in. Coastal flood warning in effect. So coastal flood warning in effect for Pasco County northward. Areas to the south are no longer in the warning. There will still be some water rise, but not to the extent that a warning is required. There you go. All right. And I'm going to post this for Greg and for Jason and for Shay and where we are. Good. Okay, so that's posted. So that's good news for Pinellas County southward. You are no longer in the coastal flood warning. At least that's how I read that. And it just came out about 10 minutes ago. So it seems like it's pretty accurate. Okay. All right, let me see. What else we got here? All right, so let's keep going. All right. And current temps, I think we've kind of already gone over this, haven't I? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we've gone over this. We'll go through it again real quick. You can still see where the severe thunderstorm warnings are located. Tomorrow we clear out. Thursday, we have a warm front. We get some showers moving from south to north. Friday, a warm and muggy day. And then what happens on Saturday, or rather later Friday into Saturday? Well, let's look at the models and we can talk about it. The wind tomorrow should not be a problem, Denise. 10 to 15. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the hashtag Ching GFS. I'm going to actually call up the southeast. Make it a little bit easier for us to see here. But this is tomorrow morning. There's your low center across the northeast. The 540 line extends into the Carolinas. There is Thursday morning. Warm front lifts across our area. See those clouds lifting north across Florida? There's your warm front, and then look, another storm, another area of low pressure digging in. This takes us to Saturday morning with a trailing front. The GFS not particularly bullish on the rain compared to this time. Certainly not as severe, but boy, look at that 540 line. Look at the cold air digging in on Saturday and Sunday. There's Sunday. There's Monday, another storm. And look at Monday. Look at the ice that the GFS is trying to bring into Mississippi and possibly into the panhandle of Florida the middle of next week. You see that? You see that? Panama City, Pensacola, the GFS next week is trying to bring a little bit of ice to them. So we'll have to watch that. And it can happen. Look at your 540 line. And even extending, look at that. Even extending into even a little more to the east. And then more cold air behind it. Look at that. Oops. So how is that going to impact us with rain? Let's look at the southeast one. There's tomorrow morning. There's Thursday morning. Warm front lifts north. Couple of showers Thursday afternoon. Friday morning, warm front north of us puts us in the warm sector. More warm, more humid, highs in the upper 70s. Saturday morning, there comes the cold front. Not nearly as strong as this last one, but still, we could see a few storms and some rain Friday night into Saturday. That Saturday morning, that Sunday morning, Sunday looks good. Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Monday evening, yeah. Bucks and Eagles, Monday evening. Let's hope the GFS is off on this. Let us hope. And there is the ice. A little bit of ice trying to show up in the panhandle. See it? Monday afternoon, Monday evening. That would be, I think it's Monday, 1:55. Let me make sure. That's the 15th at 8 o'clock. Is that Monday? Yes, it is. All right, so the GFS is making it a wet Bucks and Eagles game. It's 6 days out. We all know that's just way too early to worry about. But we are watching it. Then the front comes through, and we have another area of rain coming in the Gulf the following Friday. El Nino, buddies. El Nino. I mean, this is, man, oh, man. Oh, look at that. Well, that's far out because the GFS always does that. So that brings another area. So, look, the GFS is notorious for spinning stuff up out of the blue down the road. No model is going to be that good that far out. But, you know, with the pattern that we're in, I mean, it certainly is feasible, right? Okay. I will answer questions. Yes, Chris, the next storm is not going to be as bad as this one. That is correct. All right. What else you got for me? I'm now looking at questions. Chesterfield, Ohio. Robert said he had 50-mile-an-hour winds today. And you're going to get a polar vortex next week. Lucky you. All right. I should go back and read what your comments have been, because I haven't even been looking at questions because I've been tracking all this stuff. And you guys entertain me. I cannot tell you how much you guys entertain me. I love reading your comments. They make me laugh. All right. Chris had crazy sideway winds and some hail today in Callahan. How often does the coast flood warnings change? Well, they change as often as the Weather Service changes them. I mean, I don't mean to be smarmy. It really will change just when they change it. I would not expect any other changes. So if you missed what I said earlier, Pinellas County southward is no longer in the coastal flood warning. Yes, Polk County is in the clear. You're welcome, Jeannie. Let's see. Palm Beach County, still hanging together. Still could be some severe weather in Palm Beach County over the next hour to 90 minutes. Yeah, Gloria, I think you're good now. It isn't that the jet stream didn't move, it's that we're in an El Nino. We're having an El Nino through at least mid-spring. But I will tell you, See, Jamison, and that's a great point. We talked about this yesterday. I didn't think we were getting that much rain out of this. We got maybe half an inch of rain because the rain only lasted 20 minutes of the real squally stuff and then stuck around for another hour or two afterwards. Hillsborough is in the clear, Andrea. Okay, Jennifer is asking about Bayshore flooding. Now that the Weather Service has taken Pinellas and Hillsborough out of the coastal flood warning, we can say that I think you guys are okay. Now, we're not out of the drought yet. We got a long way for that. So the 540 line, Bettina, is the freezing line. It's usually the rain-snow line when we're forecasting snow, 540 or 544. So it's one that we usually talk about the freezing line with. Apparently, there was a tornado or tornado-like conditions in Eastlake Woodlands today. Apparently, 4 or 5 homes on hole number 9 got damaged. And I believe we're going to have a reporter there tonight. I think Julie Salomon's going to be there at 11 o'clock to talk about it. So we did see a few isolated tornadoes. Saturday morning, outdoor sports. Patty, a little too early to tell. There might be a few showers. Also, Patty, 1.5 inches of rain in Inverness. Is Crystal Beach vulnerable? Yes, it is. Typically, our northern counties see more water rise than our central and southern counties. It's based on the track of most systems. So historically, more of the systems travel farther north, which is why Crystal River, Levy County would get higher surge than areas to the south. However, like with Irma, it was way more to the south because that's where the storm went. Okay, how's Pasco looking for coastal flooding? Pasco is still in that flood warning, Danielle. So Pasco still is. And you know, it isn't like there's about 2 to 3 feet coastal flooding, Courtney. It isn't like there's a magic line that all of a sudden at Pinellas it just doesn't see rise. There will still be water rise. It more than likely, according to the Weather Service, just isn't enough to quite qualify them to be included in the coastal flood warning. So it's kind of labeling things, right? There's still going to be water rise, just not to the degree that it would require a warning. But if you live in an area that floods in Pinellas, you might still see some water, just not to the extent that you could have. The warm-up again, Stephen, arrives on Thursday. It lasts a whopping 1 to 2 days. Yeah, and even if you did have an El Nino in the summertime, the impacts on our area's weather are totally different. So El Nino in the wintertime energizes low pressure along the subtropical jet, which often can lead to enhanced rain and storms for our area. In the summertime, we don't get those kind of storms. They don't develop. We get hurricanes and tropical storms. So it's totally different. So we have another 2 months of this El Nino pattern before I think things get back to typically what they should. If you're watching on our streaming app, thank you very much for watching. If you're watching on Facebook, I'll answer a few more questions. You guys have a great night. Thanks for following us today. Okay, so the streamers are gone, and I've been talking straight for 5 hours, so I think I need to give my voice a rest. Miami, I still think we could see here. Let me go ahead and take the radar full. Tornado warnings are done. No warnings, and the Weather Service never issued a warning on that one in Highlands County. So they felt as though it was not a tornado. And, you know, hey, it's not an exact science sometimes. I think it was. That's just me. All right, so there's your squall line. Okay? And then people are like, well, Dennis, why would you say something the Weather Service is different? Because it's weather, and everybody, you know, I've had 35 years of experience in meteorology. I mean, you know, everybody has different takes on things. That's why the forecast isn't always the same, right? The forecast can be different. And you know, everybody who has their own training has their own take on things. But at the end of the day, everybody's goal is to get it right and to keep everybody safe. And that's all we want to do. So there's your squall line moving through south central Florida, passed through Highlands County. So now we are here. But just so if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I'm going to go back and show it again. So I want you to look at something. And, oops. You know what? And we can debate this. That's part of weather. But this certainly looks like a rotation to me. It really did. But it might not have, you know. And honestly, there's another one behind it. So, look at that right there. Hold on. Anyway, so there you have it. All right. Right now, we are out of the woods of severe weather. That is awesome. But if you live in South Florida, you still have this squall line coming your way. I believe there's still a tornado watch in effect until 9 o'clock. There will be some water rise, Debbie, in Tampa Bay, but no longer is Tampa Bay in the coastal flood warning. So that is good. Bellingham is waving. How you doing, Adam? 55-mile-an-hour winds with snow yesterday. Wow. Is that Bellingham, Washington? Because I was born in Seattle, and I know people in Bellingham. There was a Bellingham, Washington. I just don't know if that's the Bellingham you're referencing. Okay. And I think that's about it. All right. So one last, Bellingham, Washington. Yeah, okay. One last update. Tornado watches no longer in effect for any of the Bay Area. We are in the clear for severe weather. I mean, extreme southeastern Highland, I guess, is still right on the fringe. And now we are looking at Pasco County northward for the coastal flood warning. Pinellas no longer included. Hillsborough no longer included, so that's great news. And we got more coming on Friday night. Not as bad as this go-around, not even close. And maybe some ice in the panhandle on Tuesday. So how about that for El Nino? I'm going to go get a cup of noodles, or as people tell me all the time, it's nothing but salt water. Whatever, it tastes good. And that would be it. So hopefully we were helpful today. Shay was here, I was here, Greg and Jason were updating remotely, and Paul Legrone and LSG, Lauren St. Germain were out here helping. Hopefully the information came across in a way that it did not scare you, but helped prepare you for anything. But I'm pretty happy with the forecast. We said 20 to 30 minutes of squally weather. That would be all you'd get, and that's pretty much all anybody get. We thought we'd have a tornado watch. We had one. We thought we'd have a few isolated tornadoes. We did. The overwhelming majority of folks did not get any damage. That's great, but unfortunately, a few folks did. So I think the forecast pretty much played out. So thanks again for everything. We will be back tonight at 11 o'clock, and if there are any unexpected changes or whatnot, we will be sure to break in as always. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you later. Bye.
We the lazy declare that we will recline when we feel inclined. And yes, we feel inclined.
We answered our kids' questions all day. It's our time to prioritize, no priorities.
Why?
Because
We put in back-to-back doubles. So now we'll be putting in extra OT right here.
We've checked off our to-do list.
Now we're checking off our to-don't list.
We the lazy are taking back lazy.
By getting comfy on our lazy boy furniture.
Lazy Boy. Long live the lazy.